Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Clinch. Today, we have another very exciting guest. She is currently the number 2 ranked bare knuckle boxer in the 125-pound division, coming in on a 4-fight winning streak. In my opinion, she is among one of the more interesting personas in the combat sports world. Everybody, please welcome Virginia's own Britian Hart. Britten, thank you for joining us today. We know you haven't had an interview since your last win, so we really appreciate the opportunity to be the first ones to speak with you publicly.
Absolutely. I know it's been crazy. I can't believe it's been like 3 weeks since that fight, but definitely a lot to talk about. And, me and Joey have been on our huge giant world tour. So it is really awesome to, go back and reflect on some of the, crazy fight points that just happened and the future. What's fucking next.
Yeah, so you bring up Joey. First off, I want to congratulate you guys. I know that you're recently married. I wish you guys a long, happy life together. But my first question, since you brought up Joey, what is it like having a partner that's in the same organization and is also the heavyweight champion in that organization?
Honestly, it's unreal. We were just working out this morning, and I went over, and one of our physical therapist doctors noticed me and Joey working together. So we have this routine now that we've been doing, which is he holds pads for me 5 rounds, and then I hold pads for him 5 rounds, and then we spar 5 rounds. And someone actually saw him like, wow, you guys are we really work really well together, but it's like whatever he has in his knowledge, he feeds to me, and whatever knowledge I have, I feed to him. And then today, it was something I was like, wow, that was new. Or he'll say something to me, that was different. And it's like we're constantly evolving and giving back to each other. And it's really, really amazing. I couldn't be happier and more blessed to be with someone like him, the way he is outside the ring and in the ring too. But super knowledgeable. He's really wise. He's been around, a while in the game. So, learning from him is definitely something I don't take lightly. And it's awesome to kind of give it back.
How did you guys meet? Did you guys meet in training, I'm assuming, or how did you guys get to know one another?
No, so we actually say it was fate in the universe or God or whatever higher power you want to say brought us together, because we didn't really know each other until we went to one of BKFC's events in December. And we both went solo. So both our seats were assigned together. And we were like, oh man, and well, I guess you're my date for the night. So we're kind of joking about it and being funny. But at the end of the night, we were like, it went from day one of knowing each other to we felt like we had known each other our whole lives. And then I really just blossomed from that point, building on to what is now.
That's a love story right there.
So now that you've had some nice time away from the gym, we saw that you got to spend some time with your family. You guys got to go to Disney World. So you're hitting the mitts again. How soon do you expect to be back in the squared circle?
Yeah, anything can happen. Me and Joey joke about it all the time and are like, well, we're ready to fight now. So I think that we're still, pretty, took a couple of weeks off and we ate a lot of good food. But other than that, I feel like our reaction time, because we're so comfortable now, is a lot quicker. And when we go to the gym, it's for fun. So it's almost kind of like we're doing better now that the stress and the pressure of fight camp is off, and we're just doing it for fun. So in that aspect, it's like, man, if we keep at this rate, I could be ready in 2 or 3 weeks. I think he could too. So I think right now we're both healthy. We're happy. We have no injuries. None of us, we came out of our bare knuckle fights really well. So I think really it's whatever's next that BKFC, that Dave Feldman wants to throw at us that makes, really, we're both fighters at the end of the day, but we know what we're worth as well. So it's kind of just seeing what they have to throw at us next too.
Would you mind fighting on the same card as Joey, or do you think that's too much for both of you guys to handle in one night?
Yeah, we actually talk about that all the time, because someone was actually, we're just throwing ideas around and trying, everyone wants to see us back, of course, because I think that we are the most exciting fighters in BKFC's roster. But, I'm a little biased, but still, we kind of make jokes about it, and people are like, oh, we don't want you to fight in October. Let's fight in November, because that's when the Miami card is, and it makes sense. We're both living in Miami. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. And they're like, why not? Joey will be fighting on that card. It will be epic. And I'm like, you don't understand that as great as it does sound, it does. It sounds awesome. Husband and wife fighting BKFC's top best of the best fighting on the same show. But it's like, I'm not going to lie. I really do depend and look up to Joey. And especially now being husband and wife, but before, making the choice for him to be my head coach too and take over that, I really look to him to be by my side 100%. And as a fighter, I think it's fair to say that it's okay to be selfish. Like, it's okay for him to be selfish when it comes to his fight, and okay for me to be selfish, because we're talking about our futures. Like, I don't want him to be punch drunk in 10 years, and I don't want to be punch drunk in 10 years when we're together on rocking chairs sipping lemonade. I don't want that. I want us to be smart and tactful. And sometimes, people are right. Things can be distracted, whether you mean to or not. So worrying about someone else and what they're doing, he could be worried about me and like, oh, how's she doing her fight? How's her mental game? Or maybe he doesn't get to warm me up, or whatever it is. It's going to be a shared load rather than me just fighting, him being my coach, or him fighting and me being in his corner. Being able to give that 100%, I think, is really important. But I mean, obviously, if it makes sense, it makes sense. And I mean, it would be definitely a cool idea and maybe worth it if money was, we were both getting like, 50, 100 grand. Yeah, we're going to fight on the same show. We're going to make it happen. But if it's not for a lot of money, it's not really worth the stress of battling too, in my opinion.
Britain, you're doing exceptionally well right now. You're on a 4-fight winning streak. You're looking better than you ever have in your career, I would say. But you had a rocky start to your career. I want to ask you, how did you go from there to where you are right now?
Right. So when I first started boxing, I was definitely at rock bottom, and it was more of like a means to an end, to help me in my life, to pay bills, to get out of depression, to escape reality. So that's how it kind of started. But then when I went and did it, I realized it was just like everything bad that happened and me being at rock bottom was to get me to boxing. Because other than that, I was working for an NFL team, and I had, I was doing really well. And so, I had a bunch of snowball effects and brought myself to rock bottom. But it was from that point I realized it was kind of like no going back. Even when I fixed and slowly fixed some of the problems and consequences I had to face from my choices, I felt that I really fell in love with boxing, where it was somewhere that I could connect with people who were in like situations as me. And I was always an athlete growing up. I played soccer and basketball, cross country. I mean, you name it. I played every type of sport. So just in my degree, when I went to school, like I got my master's in sport management. So the passion is already there. It was just what the sport was. And now that I know that boxing, when I first started, I was on this whole dream that I could change the world and change people's lives through boxing. And that's how it started. And then slowly, when I started being fed to the wolves and being lied to by my manager, and I had a really bad coach, it's definitely hard being a female, not wanting to bring up those things, but being a female is really hard. Having a boxing coach that, really, he would try to hit on me. And if I didn't like replicate the feelings, he would be really mean to me and then set me to this, like, just really awful bad things. And when I learned that, again, it was kind of like this roller coaster of rock bottom and then up at the top. But I know what I started with. And for me, when that kind of relationship fell apart, I wanted to prove to him that I could be the best boxer and do it the right way and not do it by, sleeping my way to the top or, bowing down to other people, that I was going to do it because my skill and my hard work was going to get me there. And I didn't need him. So that's what led me into that. You saw me travel all over because he tried to call their gyms and say, whatever he wanted to say about me and like promotions. And then really, I just got ahead of the curve. I wanted to show and fight back so bad that I was somebody. Slowly, even with me losing, people are like, wow, that girl doesn't give up. She doesn't quit. And I really basically, I tell everyone it's kind of like, I don't want to say a sad joke, but it's kind of like I sold my soul to the devil because I really, I had a house and a lot of really great things at home, and I had to get rid of that and cancel all of it. And in order to quit that to box more and be in the gym more, I had to quit my job or work as a bartender and sleep out of my car and eat really poorly. I used to carry a box of shredded wheat with me and just eat, shredded wheat without milk will be like, it's awful. You don't want to eat it that much. So you eat a handful of it and then you're ready to go. And those were the choices I made in my life. And if you look at my box rec, you see I took back-to-back fights and they're all over the place. And people will call me a journeyman. And some people think that's good and some people think that's bad. But for me, it finally peaked together where you saw, really, I want to say it finally came out in Charlotte when I had the underdog victory over Carly Beatty. I know everyone thought I was going to lose, and it was one of the most craziest nights ever. Roy Jones Jr. was there, and it was like, ooh, I have to do this. It's like, Dancing with the Stars or The Voice, and when you're performing in front of someone that's like scouting you, like you have to do your best. And when he was there, I went out there and I had this huge underdog victory. And from that point on, it was just really, it started to click. And I realized that the hard work is going to pay off and I have to trust in the process. So now that I've trusted in the process, I've sacrificed, I've done all the hard work. Now it's just leveling up. And then you can see that with my name, every fight, like people are like blown away. Every fight you've seen me get significantly better or something new and different. And I want to say it's from that crazy diverse background and how quick and fast it was. It was like super crash course.
Yeah, you kind of answered my follow-up question, excuse me, but I was going to ask you, during this hard time that you're referring to with your coach, with the losing, at any point, did you consider maybe giving up?
The only time I actually looked to it, I remember, it sounds awful, but my ex-boyfriend, we were getting in a fight and I was driving him to his mom's house because we had already gotten to like really verbal altercation. It was really bad. So I was driving my truck and he was saying some stuff and I basically stopped and was like, I'm not a taxi driver, Uber, you can get out and walk. And because I told him to get out and walk, he was like, kind of, obviously still running his mouth. So he grabbed me from the back of my head and started like pounding my head on the steering wheel and punching me. I remember it was crazy. Anyway, I got out of my truck and he got over. He went off in my truck and left me in the middle of the road. And that was January 20th. It's horrible, but I still remember it was January 29th. After that happened, I went down to Charlotte and I begged my Charlotte family, please, to help me and to find a fight. And 3 weeks later, I had my lips stitched together because it was literally from here to here separated, where he had punched me so many times and separated my lip. I had stitches in it. They were like, sorry. They were like, that's a bad idea. You have still stitches. I had a broken nose and everything. And I was like, no, I need to fight because if I don't fight, I'm going to start drinking again or something worse. And I'm depressed and sad. And I need something to take my mind off of this that happened. And that's why I say boxing has really saved me in the fact that, yeah, maybe I didn't make the best choices, but they were better than me training for a fight and losing was better than me sitting at home, drinking a bottle of vodka every day, thinking how fucked up my life is. So I took that fight and I went down to Texas with stitches still just freshly out of my mouth. And I actually think I won the fight, but I lost. So it is what it was. But that was kind of how boxing was. So I never was going to give up. It was actually the exact opposite. It was like, if something bad happened in my life, it was like, I need to find a fight. Like I'd go in panic mode and just give me any fight. I don't care. Cause I need to have something to feel more than what I was feeling then. But I will say when COVID happened, I was living in Philly at the time. And again, I made $1,200, which is shit money. $1,200, but it's like, oh, well, $1,200 to do what you love is really cool, but not when you sacrifice 4 months of your life. $1,200 doesn't pay anything. So I actually did kind of quit. It was funny because it was August and I quit and I was like, I'm going back to a real job fuck boxing. I'll do it later in my life, but right now I need to fix everything. I need money. I can't keep eating ravioli out of cans, and I can't not pay my bills. I have child support and all this other crazy bullshit that happens in my life. So I went back and started waiting tables, and I was working doubles every day. You know, I wasn't really leading the most healthiest lifestyle. I started drinking again. And, you know, that was something that was pretty, you know, not good, because it got more consequences where I had to work even more to pay those consequences. And then I got the message from Dave Feldman for me to fight in Bareknuckle, and I was like, I'm done with fighting. I'm done. And then I was like, oh, I really need the money. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and do it. And I actually decided to fight on a 2 weeks notice for that fight. And that was still working and going in the gym. I only made it to the gym twice a week. And I had that November fight, and that was part of my win streak. And then it was after that fight, I was like, I don't know why I ever thought about, I was like, nope, this is like God's sign telling me, don't you dare ever, like the one moment I gave up and was like, no, I need to work and make money. I got not only one of the, you know, a fight that I won, but, you know, I made good money for that fight, thank God. And it got me out of the hole I was in. And then it carried me to the Paige Van Zant fight, which I fought really hard for. And since then, I really, you know, then I met Joey. It was just wild because my life was so down here, but I started picking it up, working and sacrificing, kind of like whatever. And then I was good. I was great. And then I was better. Now I'm at the best. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I don't know what else I could want. Oh.
Yeah, it's so sorry you had to go through that. We actually had no idea that you know, that you've been through all that just to get to where you are. But look, you're coming in hot. You're doing very well now. Your hard work is definitely paying off.
And we're very, very happy that you did not give up.
Thank you. Me too.
Your fights are exciting to watch on the Bareknuckle cards. But I gotta ask you, how do you think you would match up against someone like Taylor Starling? She's another female at 125 that's been looking pretty sharp, and I think the two of you next would be a pretty big event for BKFC and probably a good headliner.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The sad thing with that is I love Taylor, don't get me wrong, but me and Taylor actually come, like, again, I said Charlotte family. So she's part of my Charlotte family. So I actually went down to Charlotte a lot and sparred her. So me and her have sparred in the gym a lot. And, you know, I'm sure like anybody, you know, she's gotten better and she's been at it, you know, but if people want to say that's an exciting fight, then, you know, that's the fight to make. I know that she's been making a lot of posts that she does want to be the best. So, I mean, we've talked about it before that eventually we're going to face it. But, you know, Taylor's my friend and I love her. I think she's great as far as like, you know, she's an awesome and outgoing. She's definitely got a personality. You know, but we've sparred before, and I know me and Taylor both know what we each bring to the table. And so I think that that's both a fight that, I don't know. I mean, I would want it for sure, you know, besides the fact that she's my friend, but, you know, I don't know how much she would want that fight, and that, you know, that would suck. And I wouldn't want it to be anything that got out of hand. So it would be something that would have to be, you know, deliberated a little bit easy. But yeah, I mean, if that's the fight people are calling for, again, you know, I was in Bareknuckle first, so I can't do much about it. My hands are tied.
Hey, it's great to see that you have so much respect for one another, because that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily have in the fight game.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. And I know, and she's always wished me luck, and she's always been, you know, super, super positive and motivating too. So it's, you know, it's nothing. It's kind of hard again when you don't want to go up and even like your friend, you know, be like, I have friends all the time. I'm not going to go up to them and be like, oh, I'd whip your ass, you know, because they're at the end of the day, they're my friend. And well, you know, hey, maybe you have major improvements. Who knows?
Yeah. So Britain, I'm going to pivot to another girl that's in your division that you actually beat, Paige Van Zant, who you mentioned that you trained really hard for. So I was wondering, so you have a good amount of fights now. Where would you rank Paige in terms of her strength, technique, and overall as a fighter, compared to the other people that you faced?
Gosh, I don't, I feel kind of bad for her. Like, part of me does. I feel bad for her. And I don't know. I don't want to be really that positive to her, but it's like, for me, I started out like, again, I don't know if you guys see my box rec and in bare knuckle, I started and I was 0-2. I lost to Beck, which I don't really think I lost, but whatever. I don't know if you guys remember the scorecards for those judges, but they were 3 completely bizarre scores. But anyways, we won't have that. But then I lost to Christine, and so I was 0-2, and so then I picked it back up. So now I think that I really should be number 1 spot. I think I should be number 1 contender, truthfully. But whatever. But for Paige, I guess right now she's 0-2, so that makes her, at the bottom of the pot. And I think that shows, she talked a big game. Oh, if I would have won one more round with Britain, I was getting the hang of it, I would have won. But, she went against Rachel and she lost, I would say 4 of the rounds, honestly, with her too. So, which is the same amount that she, most of the judges saw with our fight, she lost 4. And then even so, I think some of them had it 2-3. But anyways, she looked the same. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but to me, there was no difference in her fight style. Her stance was the same. Her combinations were the same. Her body movement was the same. Her footwork everything was the same. When she's in the clinch, she did that with me too, but she always goes like straight back. Her movement is like what gets her in big trouble. And she still holds with a clinch with both hands, which why the hell she would do that, I don't know. But she did it with me and she did it with Rachel too. So me, it was like, how much better did you really get? I do commend her from going America Top Team to a real boxing gym. And I really was like, oh, she might. And she looked in killer shape. I will say that. She looked in way better shape with Rachel than she was with me. But still, she fought exactly the same. So to me, where does that put her? Well, she lost to me, and then she lost to someone who has 0 bare knuckle experience. So I wish people would, get that out of their thing too, because I was a bare knuckle debuter against Beck Rawlings, and I never once said, oh, if I had more experience, I would have beat her. I still feel like I won, but it was what it was. And then same thing with Rachel, she was a pro debuter, and she's still in. You either have it or you don't. Basically, that's what I'm gonna say. You either have it and you don't. And Paige is a hard worker. I saw how hard she worked, and her body transformation showed it. But I feel like, unfortunately for her, that she may have plateaued at her athletic ability, which is great. She has tremendous athletic ability. She's really athletic, but putting athleticism into bare knuckle doesn't always work out, as we've seen. I don't want to call out anybody specifically, but I know, a handful of really good athletes. They played football, played minor league, did this. But when it came to bare knuckle, did that really work out for them? Or did they, and some of them were even quitters,
Yeah. So having said all that, how does it make you feel that Paige Van Zant, after you dominant, I feel like you had a dominant performance over her. How does it make you feel that she is headlining events, the same event that you're on, but she is the headline and you're not the headline? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, honestly, it's like the story of my life. You know what I mean? Always just being there and working hard and having something come crazy and mess it up. That's like, you're not underappreciated or you have something bad happening. And that's kind of how I felt. It's like, Joey actually said it best. He was like really trying to motivate me and say, hey, you're the real people's champ and relatable, because how many people are at work and bust their ass off at a job for their boss for 5 years, 10 years, and then the boss's nephew comes in and they give him the promotion, and he's brand new, doesn't have a day on the job, and he gets the promotion over you. And it's like, that's really frustrating. It's not that you're jealous or don't like the nephew, it's just fucked up. I've been here working, I now have more bare knuckle fights than any female. I was there since BKFC 2, and I'm on at the time I was on a 3 winning streak, so what, And the thing really is that you guys don't get the backstory. The thing is I was told that the winner of the Paige, the Van Zant versus Hart fight would be like the new face of BKFC. So for me, that's why I was like, whoa, I moved out to California. I did a lot of crazy different changes. It cut off my whole family and friends. Like, I didn't message anyone because every day I was like, if it's not boxing or fighting, I'm not doing it, touching it, even entertaining it. And that's how like immersed I was into that Knuckle Mania event, because I was really sold that this was going to change my life, which I mean, it did. So it is what you make of it, but it was going to change my life and I was going to be the face of BKFC. So bam, I go and do that. And they're like, yeah. And then here I am. I'm not even really the co-main event. I'm the feature event. You know, I think it was Paige and Rachel and then Arnold Adams and whatever. Well, that was the co-main event. And then I was under that. So it's kind of frustrating that way. I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. But at the end of the day, what can I do about it? You know, what can I do about it besides go out and do what I do and, you know, hopefully I think everyone thought it was a freaking impressive performance against Jenny Savage. I think it was crazy and nuts, but there was a lot of people rooting against me and a lot of people betting that Jenny Savage was going to be a tough opponent. I had some very close friends that were like, "Ooh, Britain, I don't know. She's a wild card." And I'm like, "What? You guys are doubting me. Like, I'm going to go in there and set it straight." So I was really glad to, you know, again, she didn't make it out of the third round.
Yeah, Jenny Savage didn't even look like she belonged there with you from the beginning. She just kind of stood there and waited to take a beating. So that was a great performance. But over your last 3 fights, I've noticed this crazy improvement. I know you've touched on this a little bit earlier. You know, your speed increased, you're hitting a lot harder, you're moving a lot more, creating better angles. What can you attribute all this to? Is it a new team? Is it a different lifestyle? Like, I guess what would be the biggest thing you can attribute all this improvement to?
I would definitely say I have like I normally walked around like 122, so I was real small, and I would have eaten like for the Randine fight. I was eating like a muffin and a frappuccino before weigh-ins. Now this time, I cut in weight and kind of worried. I was like, oh shit. And I did good. I actually overshot it, but whatever. But, you know, eating healthy, like me and Joey kind of joke about all the time. I think I hit on it before where I used to eat just shredded wheat. And I was like, man, I got all this muscle on me now. And he's like, yeah, that's what happens when you eat like 3 balanced meals a day. So that I think has something to do with it. 2, you know, again, working with Joey, and, you know, he's the champ for a reason. And he really helped me do some things that I don't even know if I want to speak on, because I feel like people just still don't know how magical it is, because I didn't really get to use all of it. But maybe the weigh-ins, you know, you got to see a little thing like how calm I was, and just my, you know, I guess just my clinch ability and ability to see things and be creative with the clinch and striking is something that Joey has really made me confident in. We actually did so much of it that my arms, I got like really bad tennis elbow, because when you're gripped, you know, you don't realize how many muscles you have in your forearm, and being able to use those and getting those super strong was like really it's like what they say, train hard, fight easy. So that's kind of what it was. It was training so hard and actually literally aching. I had to have like physical therapy, like my physical therapist doctor put needles in my arm so I could keep with the pace Joey was giving me. And you know, when it came to the fight, when I did it so easily, and you know, we watched a replay of the fight and I was holding her arm back and like kind of trapping it so I could punch. I was like, look, Joey, you taught me that. And I did it in the fight. And so it's exciting that way. I think that, you know, Reggie also, you know, who fights tomorrow, so big shout out to him. Reggie actually has trained, helped, and worked with me and Joey a couple of days. We kind of did like a group thing and fed off of each other. So we incorporated that. And Adam, who's Joey's coach, we worked with him a couple of days and he gave us some things. So we kind of all compiled and took a little bit from each fighter and made it our own. And that was really nice. So I think that's kind of what contributed to the success now, is having a diverse, you know, then I had Jason, the face fighter. I had Mateo at Box Art Studios. They were also, it wasn't just me and Joey. but it was people coming in, and then Joey being so great, you know, he's an awesome coach where he learns and can sit back. You know, some coaches are like, no, that's my fighter, hands off, where he's more acceptable and adaptable to seeing what people teach me and then taking it and us practicing and making sure that we get that technique too. So it's just, I mean, I think that me and Joey together are one of the, like, we're going to be a really untouchable, unstoppable force because we're so diverse, you know, and who and where we've been.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So Britain, so we're an MMA podcast, so I have to ask you this. Would you ever consider moving from boxing into MMA?
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing. Super happy to have Joey for. So I always think that my rolling's pretty good. I try to roll with him a couple times. You know, he submits me every time, but whatever. But
He's bigger. We'll give you a pass.
he tells me that all the time, but I still make him do. I'm like, let's do this. And he's like, again, really? I'm like, yep, we're gonna do it. So I love it. So I really enjoy actually doing that. It's you know, and kicking is something I'm not the greatest at, but now I'm feeling it a lot better. And then obviously my striking, I just feel is really, really good. So just keeping up with that and learning some other things. But yeah, you know, we talk about our records and me having a shitty beginning. So MMA is kind of exciting to me because that's like a true slate clean, wipe clean. You know, I have a name, so maybe I'll get on a good promotion, go in, and I have a chance of being an undefeated fighter. And I could go undefeated in MMA. I'm just making sure right now I have all the skills. So when I go there, I plan to be undefeated and just win and do it all the way through. But you know, we're gonna see the bare knuckle. I love boxing, but yeah, I definitely think that MMA is in my future.
Well, that's awesome to hear. We're really excited to see what else you're going to do in boxing, and you saying you're going to come to MMA. That's awesome, and we can't wait for that.
All right. So now I got to ask you. So you fought with the gloves on. You fought bare knuckle. What is the biggest difference between the two, in your opinion? I'm assuming you prefer bare knuckle, but I guess what is the biggest difference? Would you say?
Yeah, I'm one of those really weird, crazy ones where I was like, wow, there's really no difference. But I have heard from other fighters be like, no, this is bare knuckle. It's different. For me, you know, when I was boxing, I had kind of that reputation. Not that I was a dirty boxer, but I was kind of one of those, I was an aggressive boxer. And if you were dirty against me, I knew how to handle it right away. So, you know, I even remember fighting Beck, and I was really kind of nervous. And when she punched me the first time, I was like, oh, it's really not that bad. So I would say, you know, I love the clinching. I love being able to grab. I'm kind of in boxing, you can't really do it as much, but, you know, I used to kind of, you know, cut my glove or rest on and push down. You know, I learned that because I fought on the streets and I, you know, grew up in hood gyms basically. So I learned that style really quick as far as tricks on getting off balance or going behind their head, pulling them down. I'll say that the defense is probably the biggest thing because in boxing, you have these gloves that you can kind of deflect, but like getting punched like in this little bone right here is really, you know, that's painful. And then here, you know, you have the gloves. So if they're hitting your hand's almost kind of going into your face more so. So it's really more about not being touched at all. Where in boxing, you can kind of catch a shot and fire back. You know, you can catch, fire back. In boxing, bare knuckle, you just want to be more head movement and slip completely. So I think some of the defense, you know, abilities, again, having this type of guard, you see bare knuckle fighters do it. I don't know why they do it. It's so stupid, but you see a lot of them do this. And it's like that might block a glove, but a bare fist is going to separate that. Or it's just going to blind you and obstruct your view. And then you have this huge gaping stuff. So, and I think, you know, I've learned that too. And that's why I said I can say it because I did it. So I hate when fighters do this. And I actually did that my second fight against Queen saw me with this because the coach and trainer I was with at the time said that's what to do, you know. But then I realized quickly That's why I would be, like I said, I've come a long way since that fight. I would never do this in bare knuckle. So it's just trial and error and learning. And, again, a boxing, or we say bare knuckle boxing IQ is really important to watch other people's fights and see what they're doing and what works and not. But there is a slight difference. But I mean, I guess I don't feel it as much, as far as it wasn't a problem for me, if that makes sense.
It does. So, Britton, I have one last question for you, and this is not just from me and Eric, but I feel like from most of combat sports fans, boxing fans. So, after you beat Paige Van Zant, you said that you're not a person, you're a feeling, and that went completely viral. And we just wanted to clarify what did you mean by that?
Yeah, so we've kind of touched throughout this interview on domestic abuse, alcoholism, legal trouble, rock bottom, not having any money, being broke, being the guy who works hard, and then all those things. I think that people have really, it's terrible and bad that I went through it, but what got me through it really was, you would be amazed on how many messages I have in my inbox that people are like, you inspire me, and I had this happen to me, and I relate to what you're going through. And I had so many people send me pictures and share their stories of their story. People with cancer. I mean, all sorts of people are like, man, you motivate me to try every day. And I was like, wow. And so I fought for so long knowing that and thinking, man, I can't let these people down. Like, I have all these people, like the people that really deserve it, the people that are really going through shit, not the people that have everything and are silver spoon fed. I don't really care about those people. I care about the people that when you go in the gym, you work with the kids, and then the mom comes over and is like, wow, I haven't seen my boys smile like that in a year. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm just doing what I'm doing. They're like, well, she's like, no, well, their dad killed himself a year ago, and they've really had a hard time fitting in, and I've never seen them smile like that. Did that. I was like, wow, like it brings me to my knees. Like it really takes the breath out of me when I hear like that. And I'm just like, you never know what someone else is going through or who you're going to motivate and why, by just being yourself. And so for me, I prayed, I was like, let me just go win to prove to those people that they can do it. Let me be that feeling, the feeling like those boys had, like the mom was talking about, the feeling about, this girl who comes to see me and she's battling cancer and she gives me a hug and her, she smiles so bright. Or, this girl who sent me a picture and said, man, you give me motivation to be strong and go get what I want. Because so many women who've been abused before sit at home and freaking hate people or hate going out in the world, have social anxiety. And they're like, you can go out there and just talk and try to do things again, try to get in a relationship, and look, you didn't give up. Like, this is what I'm going to do. So for me, I remember when I said that to myself in my head, I had actually said it on the beach when I was running in California, and I started crying. I was like, I'm a feeling. Like, it was this crazy, bizarre moment that came after me. And I was like, I'm a feeling, and it's a positive feeling. And I promise that if you let me win this fight, because I actually had my knee messed up, I was like, make my knee better. Don't let that be an excuse for me for the fight. I promise I will continue to do good in the world. I will inspire and motivate people. I will be a better person. Just let me go in and do this so I can be a feeling to other people that they can do it too. And when someone else messaged me and said something about the fight, and I basically text that to them, and they were like, wow, that's it right there. Like, you take that and that's your why. And I was like, well, yeah, of course I know that's my why. I said it. And so I went in, and I really, after the fifth round, to be honest with you, I didn't think I won. I know I won, but it was like, if I didn't knock her out, I wasn't going to win. Like, no one's going to vote for me. I'm going to be the short end of the stick. The world's a messed up place. The judges are going to go with her. And I was like, no, I didn't do it. And my corner was like, you better lift your head up. You definitely won. You might get fucked, but you won. I was like, I didn't. And so when they announced my name, it really was like, it was just, everything came out, because I was so actually excited and ecstatic that I did it. And it was a feeling, and I didn't even say the F word, because love kids and want to be a good role
Oh,
model, but
good.
I was so freaking happy that I'm a fucking feeling, and that's just how. And then it just got out of control because, as you guys can see by meeting my personality, it's just kind of just who I am.
Well, that's beautiful. And I just want to tell you that you are a big inspiration to a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of, not just girls, a lot of girls and guys probably look up to you. And so continue doing that and changing people's lives with that.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
No, just I guess keep on the lookout, the Britain Joey train. So really good. We're happy and we hope everyone else is inspired by it. Just want to thank all my friends and family, and definitely excited to be back at it and back training and just to see what happens next. So definitely expect a level up and upgrade. So the evolution continues.
We're excited to see it. Wishing the best of luck to you and Joe. We hope to see you guys both back in there soon.
We hope to have you back on the show after your next fight.
Yeah, I would love that. I definitely would. I love breaking down and talking about fight game. It's definitely my passion.